It's a year without a mini, but we just got a mega intriguing leak, or at least a supposed leak, of a potential Nintendo 64 Classic. What's going on, guys and girls? It's Zach from Switch Force. Gabe is here, and we are looking at some very convincing imagery for a potential N64 Mini. Now, we know that it's probably coming at some point. It's just the natural order of things. NES Mini, SNES Mini, Nintendo 64 Mini. These pictures popped up across message boards, and they're actually being met with a lot of because people aren't quite sure. It almost looks too good. Some are throwing out the possibility of it being a CG render. Others are saying if it was this close to being shelfable, it would have already been announced. And many are picking on this extendable controller plastic Heidi piece thingy.
Yes, links in the description if you want to go see the images for yourselves. But right off the bat, Zach, for me, this probably isn't real just because there's 3 images. Mm-hmm. 2 of them look like they are like taken like in person. But that one image on the bottom left, if you're looking at the images the way we are, that's taken of a screen. Like, you can tell that there's a computer screen. That's, like, not an actual image because you see, like, the interlacing of the monitor there. I don't know if you can notice that, Zach.
But that's also on the other image, just kind of on the console. I wonder if it's just light reflection.
You think no, but that's like on the entire thing. That's not on the other images. So
it's being held in a very sunshiny little sunroom with lots of blinds.
Yeah, but that flap, obviously isn't a jump out at you. It does have the same connectors as the other mini consoles that we've had so far. Look, I personally am not of the belief that this is real, but whoever made this did a phenomenal job. This thing looks as real as possible, right?
Yeah, I think it's to me it's too clean to be like 3D printed. I guess the potential for a CG computer created N64 Mini is totally out there. The flap is again the focal point here, and the SNES has something similar. The difference here is it just looks very, very flimsy. It looks very breakable. It's hidden super well. Like if you look at the top image, you don't see it's not obvious that those things the original N64 controller ports would pop off to reveal your little Wiimote-esque connectors. But then once it is pulled out, it's not as finely made as the SNES. Same concept, same idea, I get that. It just looks like if someone grabbed it by that little extendable piece, you could just like break it. And I don't think Nintendo would go that route. But it is pretty darn convincing. It's hard for me to tell. Nintendo is very good about things like this, so in general, when we see something of this sort, it ends up being fake because who just has one of these laying around? Most likely, this thing isn't going to be surprise announced for the holiday season. They've got plenty of things coming out, and a machine that is heavy on the nostalgia factor doesn't really line up with a year that's heavy on the nostalgia factor, bringing back all the Smash Bros. Characters, bringing back a Pokemon Yellow reimagining. So how is this already here? I'm going to go fake as well.
Yeah, 0% chance. Well, let me not say 0 because you've said this before. There's always like a 1% chance of things happening, but it's almost inconceivable to think that this gets dropped this year. It's not likely at all. But they've done such a good job, even with all the like iconography in the back. You see like the recycling thing, the C, the E. I don't know what those like stand for.
Memory expansion on top.
Yeah.
And some people pointed like, why would they include that? It's not going to be used. But they do have like the cartridge port on the older consoles. They have the eject button on the SNES. So they do like to recreate these things with as much original, actual look as possible. It's interesting to note that there's a PlayStation Classic coming out later this year. So when this N64, maybe not this one, but when Nintendo does inevitably put out an N64 Mini, they will come after PlayStation, Sony's iteration within the same sort of genre / generation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think this thing is 100% coming next year. Just not maybe this one.
Yeah, if they release it, man, give us a purple one. I prefer.
Give us a cool lineup of the see-through colors would be fantastic. I don't know how much more in the manufacturing end that would cost them, or what kind of chaos that would cause. But if you could just do a lineup where I don't know, maybe like GameStop gets blue and Target gets purple and Walmart gets green, and that would be super sweet and play into this. I think maybe a different question is, are we into this anymore? Like, obviously it was very cutesy for the NES and the SNES, and I feel like very few people have working NESs anymore. My Super Nintendo plays very nicely, but even that maybe is a bit harder. I feel like a lot of people hold on to their N64. I feel like a lot of people, like, I guess where I'm coming from is, can we just get these on the Switch? I don't need a separate little console anymore.
Yeah, I agree with you. The other interesting thing about this proposed leak here is the fact that it's 4 controllers. The other 2 consoles only supported 2 controllers, and that came in the box. This time it's 4 controllers supported by the N64, so do we think that they include 4 controllers in the packaging for this? Which seems unlikely because, cost, and not everybody needs them. So then at that point, do they just sell those separately? It becomes all very confusing.
Right. Do you start stocking N64 mini controllers for those of you that want to play more multiplayer on your mini console? That is a weird point. Regardless of this image, like, if they do go the 4-port way, which they should, given the console and the theory that they would include Smash and Mario Kart 64 and games of that sort, what do you do? Or do you incentivize this by including all 4? Or does that then take too much away from the Switch? I think, I don't know. I'm very excited by the proposed GameCube Mini, just because that is a incredibly nostalgic period for me, and I think there's a lot of great games that I would love to return to. I don't have as much love for the N64 just because I feel like I played those games to death. Ocarina of Time, Mario 64, the original Smash Bros. It just would be so much more convenient if they would start incorporating this stuff onto the Switch. And I know that's like beating a dead horse of, like Reggie has said, like, Virtual Console, thing of the past. We have NES Online, and no indication that it's going to, go further at this point. But I don't know. The collector in me would probably grab this, but I don't know that the gamer in me needs any more of these at all.
Yeah, I bought the SNES Mini and the NES Mini. I never opened them. I ended up just giving them away. Like, I know that they're, like, cool, like, collector's items, but I don't have a collector in me. Like, you can have that Space Deck. That's all you. I don't.
Yeah, they're cute. They're cute pieces to put on your shelf. But again, I have these games multiple times, either in their original iteration or on my Wii or things of that sort. So it's like, I know it's tapping into a different market. They're not trying to necessarily attract the Switch gamer because it's going for something different, just like the PlayStation Classic may, hit a vein that doesn't appeal to a PS4 Pro purchaser. Just for me, I'm kind of over it. And maybe that's another reason that Nintendo is taking a year off. Like, they have the lineup for Switch that's going to, by all means, be very successful. And maybe there is a bit of, like, hey, we need to, like, almost like Disney movie vault style. Like, if we just bring these things out real slowly, we can tap into the nostalgia piece by piece and sort of get people when they're vulnerable, as devious as that sounds.
Well, then that becomes a big year next year for hardware for Nintendo if we get both this and the proposed Switch iteration. So, 2 big hardware launches next year. That'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I feel like it's maybe not a... Well, maybe it is a popular opinion. I would just rather see them take all their time and find a way to just get these things flowing on the Switch, even if it's down the road and not as... not brought to us with the immediacy we want. But again, it's a moneymaker. This thing inevitably, is going to cost $100 or whatever if they want to sort of level with Sony and what they're doing. How many games? What games? To me, it's a pretty obvious list. I guess the ones that I would like, especially after Super Mario Party, is I love Mario Party 1 and 2 on this thing.
Yeah, very true.
I think that'd be really fun. I just don't necessarily have the time nor the... I mean, I have nostalgia for the single-player stuff. It's just like, I'm not... Like, okay, Ocarina of Time, I played the 3D iteration of that however many years ago, and, like, that was great. I don't know that I'm, like, jonesing to go back to, like, N64 graphics and...
Oh, I know you're not.
Really
you would never play through Ocarina or Majora's Mask, like, in its original form. I know you wouldn't.
I'd run around in Mario 64 just because that is, like, such a touchstone from my childhood. I made maps in school of all the levels, and, like, me and my brother loved that so much, but... Yeah, let us know in the comments down below how you feel about future classic consoles. Would you buy it? Would you buy it just because and then probably not play it? Or is this something you can see yourself using quite a lot, especially as the Switch becomes just the library expands to where we are going to have a Smash, we are going to have a Mario Kart, we are going to have an Animal Crossing eventually, we are going to have a Pokemon, we are going to have a Mario Party. Like, I don't know. If you can spend $100 plus controllers on the N64, or you can buy Smash and Mario Party on Switch. Like it just, I don't know. I feel like as we go, these things get a little bit more dicey. So let us know what you're rolling when it comes to this leak. If you notice anything that we didn't pick out, definitely let us know in the comments down below. Make sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest and greatest from the Switch and whatever super cool, super nostalgic products Nintendo puts out next. Someone did point out that they have an investor call around the beginning of November, and like there is like this smidge of a chance that maybe they do something crazy. So I guess I'm going to kind of keep my ears tuned on that date, but I think it's unlikely. So follow us on Twitter and Discord just in case something like that happens. There's links in the description. And for myself and Gabe, thanks so much for watching. Have a fantastic weekend. Switch Force out.